think another good thing about the poses we're gonna do is you don't have to do like a complete yoga practice, especially if it's at night. Maybe just a
Yeah,
couple poses to help you wind down. You don't have to set aside like an hour, just
that's a very, very good
10
point.
minutes or less, really, just to do a few things.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's
and that,
doable.
yes, it is.
And also, the same type of idea can work in the mornings too. If you're
Yes.
struggling with waking up, of course, different poses, but the same idea of maybe just a few things that you do to help you get going.
That's
A
what
lot
I
of
do.
times I do that. Yeah, in the mornings I'll just do a few like back bends, maybe downward facing dog, maybe just 5 minutes, and then I feel better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not doing anything is the wrong thing. This pose is called Prasarita Padottanasana, separated foot forward bend. And again, we're going to use this wonderful coffee table as support. So we're going to ask Mel to come onto the mat and separate her feet really wide. And she's going to make sure that the outer edges of the feet are sort of even with the edges of the mat. If your toes are turning out, you want to draw the outer toes in so the feet are more parallel. And then she's going to take her hands to the coffee table, the support. The first thing Mel wants to do is open her chest forward. So she takes her middle spine and keep the weight of the body on the feet. So keep your hips pushing back a little bit. Right. So the thighs kind of push back here and the chest extends forward. So we find this traction. We create this traction in the body. And then from here, she's going to keep her legs very straight, pressing her feet into the floor to help awaken the hips and the knees. Mel was talking about her hips. I emphasized to her that she wants to keep what we call integrity in the hips. So the musculature all around the upper leg bone, the inner groins, the outer hips, the gluteal muscles, the buttocks need to be firm and hold on there. And as she does that, keep that firmness, she's going to bend forward and take her head to rest in her forearms. The weight of the body should remain primarily in the feet. She shouldn't feel like she's falling forward. And she needs to keep the kneecaps lifting, keep the thighs firm. And again, to help protect her hips, she wants to get the feeling like she's trying to pull the head of the femur bone, that upper leg bone, more into the hip socket. Sometimes I think in yoga we should stretch things so much that the bones sort of leave their position. You want to keep the finer muscles around the hips quite strong and firm, so that they get a chance not just to lengthen, but to strengthen as well. For those who maybe have difficulty coming this far down, you can get your blanket or some form of support to come up a little bit higher, so it's a little bit less intense. When Mel's going to come out, I'm going to ask her to fortify those legs, and then she's going to take her hand to the coffee table, press down to come up, and then she's just sort of heel toes her feet back closer together, and then she comes all the way up. Good. How'd that feel? Okay?
Felt great. Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.